Hello, Lit 100. Let's do a little recap from last week. First of all, I want to say the discussion board's amazing. I, I actually feel like I have a sense of who many of you are, and yeah, it is great to get to know you, and I feel like we are such an amazing, diverse crew of people. It's really great to be in the course with you. One thing that I want to say is that the getting to know you piece is actually critical to the course, because one of the major pieces of the course is culture and identity, and our awareness of our own and of other people's and of the literature. It all ties in. So that's not something that disappears as we get into the literary elements. How you apply the literary elements is going to be different than how anyone else in the course applies them. There are similarities, of course, but it's a through line in the course. Secondly, your reading response, who you are, that is also key to the course. So these two things are going to continue. This little piece of the discussion board is actually integral to where we're headed. I do have one caveat about how good the discussion boards were. I would like to personally challenge everyone to respond to everyone who responded to you. Now, this isn't for the grade. You only have to respond to 2, but I'll tell you straight out, if it's a politeness thing. If someone writes you a response, a long response, a short response, dash off something to them. It doesn't have to be deep, but you might find yourself going deep because somebody's really sparked something in you. And I feel like that's critical. And also, I will give you full credit for engagement if you respond to everyone who responds to you. I will, flat out. Okay, let's talk about this week some. This week you have a quiz, and it's mostly on MLA, which is being sure that you know how to cite things. I'm not going to go into that in detail here because there's lots of resources for that in your textbook and in the SNU resources online. But I will talk about the journal that you're going to do this week. Last week, by the way, was a free write. This week is a little more structured, and I want to emphasize that last week was a free write because some people were more free than others, and it's important that you actually take the journal as an opportunity to develop your voice, and you don't have to feel like you need to be fancy and formal, but you do need to use the tools. So make sure that you are going into the textbook and you're understanding the language that is used around plot. Plot is a great creator of tension, and that's the reason that we read books, go to movies, watch TV. What's going to happen? What is the arc? Where is the character going to travel? What is the conflict, the crisis that they're going to run into? Where are they going to end up afterwards? How are they going to have changed? Which leads to the second piece, which is characterization. That's where the interest comes. Complex characters create interest, and your awareness of how to articulate something about how characters work off each other in a story is key to understanding both literature and any genre that you enjoy watching, from film or TV as well. So now I want to emphasize something, that you need to use one of the stories from this week for plot when you talk about plot in your journal. So there's an Alice Munro and there's a Chimamanda Adichie story. They both have, they're both long enough to have a significantly developed plot with all of the plot points in the textbook language, from the inciting incident to the rising action to a crisis and a climax to a resolution. They all have those elements, right? So you need to use one of those 2 stories for your first part of the journal entry. The second part of the journal entry is about characterization. Now, you are free to use something from last week's readings, just don't use the one you've already used, okay? Or you can use the other piece from this week. So be sure that you're accessing two pieces of literature for the journal this week. What else? Yeah, that's it. There are significant other pieces in the rubric. Please check the rubric. So it's not just plot and characterization, it is also culture and identity, which again ties back to what you did in the discussion board for week 1. And the second piece is the impact on the reader. On the reader. Who's the reader? You're the reader. You're the reader. You're the writer. You're also the reader. That's what this course does to you. It makes you a reader and it makes you a writer. So make sure that when you're dealing with the impact, actually ask that question. Make sure that you step away from the how and step into, which is important with the tools, but that you step into the why. Why did the writer write it this way? What was their hope about how they would impact their readers? How you can contrast the first piece to the second piece, that's a good way to understand about impact, because they're not going to have the same impact on you. Yeah, that's it. So hopefully I didn't talk too fast, and this might be useful for some of you. And there is also a written piece to the announcement, and please do read my announcements, because they'll help you tap into the pulse of what's going on in the class. Great. It's great to see you all again, and well, I can't see you, but it's great to read you all again, and I look forward to reading your posts from this week. I'm sorry, not your posts, your journal entries. We'll get back to discussion boards in Module 3.